Just when I knew you got me feeling. Ooh, yeah, you got me feeling. Ooh, yeah, you got me. I've been searching everywhere for you, driving same for you, diving in the pool of your love. I shouldn't let you go. There will never be a goal that I want you more, want you more. I see you shining, your freckles got me smiling. Feeling like I'm flying, and it just wish that I'm liking. I like you style. Never have to worry, boy, I hold you down. Oh, so low, so in love with every little thing you do. When I laid eyes on you, that's when I knew.
Always
You
curious
got me feeling.
what the song is.
Yeah, you got me feeling.
Rock was nice as well.
Yeah, you got me feeling.
Shooting her down.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. That's definitely summer wearing shorts to a mixed crowd brunch vibe going on.
Pretty much, man. Since everybody, not this is not even a diss to Drake or anything, but it just seems like Drake came out like all of a sudden everybody in house music or whatever. So
I'm right.
so go.
It's like, oh, we can do this.
What's this? I don't know if this is May or Mai. Go get some Elisa May. She makes songs. She at least made a song that's like, I'm fucking with these things, and I'm like, what I'm here for, and I'm gonna take it.
Take all this.
I'm gonna take it every time. Any song where we are being talked to nicely and not as it's not some fucking grocery list of what I got to do. It's just, hey man, like I'm fucking with you, man. You got looking good. You're here looking black and black manly, and I'm like, thanks, man. And she's like, yeah, I'm fucking with you, man. I'm good and self sufficient in of myself, and I would like to just see what we on. And I'm like, yeah, it's not one of these like all these other weird veiled songs. It's on the nigga side too, because man, y'all be like, I realize that's a pet peeve of mine, and I'm trying. I don't know if I want to get rid of it, but I know it's become a pet peeve lately of like listening, like, oh, it's been there, but it's like just listening to songs. I'm like, damn, I really have to like space out my listens because sonically I like this, but I don't like what y'all saying.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like what y'all saying.
I have a lot of songs where it's like,
and songs I used to really be into.
I can listen to this in certain settings, but if I hear this and I'm really listening to it, I don't like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
I don't. That, excuse me, it'd be songs like that that remind me. It's like we set the bar real low for ourselves.
Ground.
Like just as a community, but especially like the male side of those songs, it's just like.
It was a video like that came on my feed. It was some girl, and she was saying something like the dude said something about like she said she talked to him nice when he asked her things like simple things like I've been I'm sore or whatever, and she would like rub him down or whatever, and he was like, and she was like, that's it. He was like, yeah, he's like, I'm really thankful for that. And she's like, who the fuck have you been talking to? Like it was some like she was more clever in it with the real, but it was just like, and I was like, damn.
Set the bar so like even what comes to mind now is, well, I don't know the name of the song. I just know like the little clip, but whatever song with Quavo where it's like, it's your birthday, you get a purse bag, and it's just like, that's it. Like this,
not a purse bag.
A purse bag. You get a purse bag, but just like you can be pretty, and for this reason you get all these things. It's like. Is that it? Is that all you really? So you wanted for yourself was just somebody to be arm candy? I mean, I don't understand it. That actually can kind of go into the discussion we had with gunplay and whatnot, but we don't have to get into that now.
Oh yeah.
We can talk about that a little later. Aside from that, just welcoming everybody here. The holiday was yesterday. How did you celebrate July the farce?
Fair enough. Yeah, it was, I actually went to work, man. Like how y'all was. I will say that part, like I did enjoy at work a little bit. It did make my like night easier at a certain point of like the city goes up, it's fireworks from hither to yonder, and the way the building sits is through the window. You can see like everything.
That's lovely.
So that was nice. I wasn't like I don't even think I really posted that much, but I wasn't like, down with whatever. I just, I be taking these little stunts seriously. So nothing was really purchased. I didn't get no gas. I don't know what the rest of y'all did. But yeah, I just and I stand firm on, it's not like a I don't know, man, like anti-country thing, but it just is what it is, man. I'm a black man in America, and it ain't really been cracking up the way it cracks up for other communities. You see who's in there buying all the patriotic shit. Like for us, it's all like fireworks and chilling with the homies. Like I did, I had like moments. I was like, it's cool. Like I was, headed to where I was driving down Crenshaw. Like I like seeing us outside. I like seeing us commune. I like seeing everybody come together and shit like that. But the day is the day, and the day represents the thing that it just ain't that. Like at the same time, like you see something like that, and you hear all this stuff about great country, and then you see in like Texas, they're saying shit like involuntary servitude. Like what? On top of the fucking thing I just did with Roe v. Wade. So like, what are we talking about? What are we celebrating, yo?
And all the shootings.
Yeah,
and the shootings that took place the day of.
Yeah, yo, it's like celebrating July 4th after everything that's happened is like celebrating Christmas, and they just told you on TV that Santa Claus is a pedophile.
That's why I called it what I called it, the farce of July. Yeah. That's what we out here celebrating. I was a little bit more Twitter fingers than you, but that's just because shit was popping up and I was just reposting it. I didn't really have to go out my way to.
I'm not gonna
create
I like it though. Like sometimes, like I don't be on Twitter all the time. Like I peruse, but sometimes I peruse, and I'm not gonna hold you. I forget that
absolutely
that we have a Twitter, and I be like, look at this. I'm like, oh, it's us, and like it wasn't me. I'm not gonna lie. I like when you kind of like put it like I don't know. I don't always know what it is that does it, but the days I catch it, I'm like, oh yeah, this nigga time today. This nigga said burning. I was like, fuck.
No, I'll slide it in here nice and gingerly. And something will come to mind, and I'll have those moments where I'll create it, just like you create a post for the Instagrams. And we have our moments, but I don't know. I would have that same feeling like when I was younger, say being somewhere in the Crenshaw area or Inglewood or whatever, and seeing everybody congregating, fraternizing with one another. In the instance of the holidays, like I still didn't celebrate. I've never been a patriotic person ever. Like I was raised relatively pro-black, so I've never looked at the holidays like yay, but the ability to not have to do whatever I'm supposed to do Monday through Friday, we get to eat and we just get to blow shit up. Okay, cool. That's whatever. That's really all it is.
It's barbecue and blow shit up day.
Right. But the older I get, it's like, no, I don't want to participate in that narrative because it's still like us contributing to a lie. It's still us contributing to the bullshit, especially in mass amounts, because we gonna go out and buy all kind of stuff and we gonna say it's for the kids and all the other stuff, but it's like it's not. It's like the truth is for the kids. The kids should know like Juneteenth is when we gonna celebrate. Why are we not popping fireworks on the 4th? Because that's not our holiday. This is why it's not our holiday. Like you can give your kids the truth. I would much rather give them the honest truth from jump than to let them live in some lie. And then like somewhere around 8, 9, 10 years old, you're like, okay, this is why we're not doing this anymore.
And like I noticed, actually no, I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. I just feel like people use that as an excuse for themselves. Like you want to party, you want to go. Because the child, you're your child's first teacher, your child's first hero. If you say up is down, that kid's gonna walk on his hands for the duration of however long. Like
absolutely.
So it's not about not letting the kid, because if you tell the kids what it is, and it's like, yeah, like my hero just told me like this is terrible, a kid will be like, that's all I needed. This is bullshit. My daddy said that's it.
Right.
So you're only I go back and forth with that. Like you can pull your child to the side and communicate with them and express to them, and it is what it is. End of the day, boom, boom. And especially when it's people with children in a certain age bracket. I don't know how y'all like parenting things, or I'm not here to judge or say whatever, but you can express and communicate with them. I'm always gonna fall back on what I've been doing for so many years. Having conversations with kids that's not even kids, bro. You're grown. You're 19 and you've lived away. And in this afternoon, this 30-minute, 40-minute conversation, you're like, damn, that's crazy. I am changed. So you're doing that for yourself. And like, I'm not trying to jump on you, but like, if you really want to turn it around, then you would.
I'm gonna jump on you.
you know,
He don't want no problems,
you're gonna look at
but I
yourself,
do.
and you're gonna look at yourself and go, I'm doing this for me. And then you unfuck yourself.
Yeah. I mean,
It's not the kids.
that's the realness of it. It's like, oh, you afraid to make those changes, or you afraid to embrace this, or you don't want to do that. Don't use the kids as a scapegoat, because you gonna give them your phone to keep them pacified, and at a certain age, what they gonna do? They're gonna scroll through YouTube or TikTok. They're gonna see the same real information presented on TikTok, depending on, because if you just got 4th of July trending, and then you have 4th of July fireworks madness, miracle madness, and also combined in there people telling the truth about the 4th of July, they're just scrolling. They're going to come across the same narratives and learn it off social media. Why don't you want to take accountability and teach them yourself, so that they can actually be taught in a way that is beneficial to them, as opposed to just learning shit randomly?
Yeah, I'm of the mindset now of like, you know, I feel like I feel like we should be, or should have been, the last era to have to go. And you know, obviously there's things you learn when you get to school, but just certain things that is black, like, I didn't even know nothing about that. We should have been the last group to do that.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm not saying you need to be a you know, anthropologist or like historian, deep dive on everything, but going to school, your kids should be like, oh, okay, I believe that. That makes sense because I heard about this, that, and the third, and this doubles down and triples down on that. But there shouldn't be any more of us having kids, sending them off to school, and they get to school and they have a professor that blows their mind because they had no idea that there was this of us. Like,
Right. I feel like and this is me jumping on people, kind of. I feel like you're being an irresponsible parent. I
absolutely.
feel like you're, as a black parent, I feel like you would be damning your children, because that information should be coming from you, as opposed to them having to learn it later on down the line. So even like I saw a post, 1 year at an HBCU undoes 12 years of.
I saw that.
It's like, I shouldn't have to wait, because what if I don't choose to go to a HBCU? I went to a PWI. So what if I wasn't raised pro-black and I went to this PWI in Ohio? I definitely would have a different understanding or different experience.
Where's Darrell?
Absolutely. I'd have been at all the baseball parties with my shorts and my America t-shirt on.
One thing, bro, it's not even about race anymore, honestly. Look at us.
That's another reason why I took it upon myself to post shit on social media, because I saw lots of microaggressions from white associates from my past. And it'll be obvious if I put it out there.
Oh man, that's how I blew. I saw I think that was the first time my Facebook like exploded, and I was like in post college, and I was like, "Hey, bitch, that's racist."
Right. And I don't even have to go that route, but just the fact that, like, oh, you see a lot of these posts by people in my community, and it bugs you because somebody put up a post of talking about how, like, the cost of 4th of July is down 2% in comparison to last year. So that shows that Biden's plan is working. It's like, man, if you don't shut that shit up, you don't knock it off. But just people posting things like that from their side of the fence on a day that we're all saying, nah, not only does it not need to be celebrated by us as a community, but y'all niggas just got rid of abortions. Like, what are we celebrating you for? What is the independence that we are celebrating? Independence from what?
You know what's crazy? Is like I'm not even talking about on the black shit. Like, I'm not a wild historian. Like, I was pretty decent in history, but like when you read the story, it's like them niggas came from England to come here to escape crazy shit like wild taxes, only to get here, butcher a bunch of motherfuckers, and then tax motherfuckers to death. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You came here because you didn't want nobody to tell you what to do, but then you came here and told everybody. I didn't even say you told everybody. You forced everybody to do. Like, I don't want to deal with 2% of bullshit, so I'm going to come here and inflict 90% of bullshit on everyone else, so I can continue having this entitlement of not doing this 2%.
And got here and then created even other ways.
Absolutely.
Like amongst yourselves. I know as part of the tip top oppressed community in the world, we're gonna sit this one out on my Browns. Y'all said amongst us here in the milky persuasion, you redhead motherfuckers is bitches. And you motherfuckers over here that like pasta's bitches and y'all are like just started saying fuck us too, so we could just make. It's dumb. Like that. Damn.
Not even that. You can. You're poor, so you can't do certain shit.
What are you, a Protestant?
We don't want to be a part
Y'all
of this.
just found way. Like if you really think about it, it's crazy as hell, yo.
Right.
Like crazy as shit. Like I was watching something. I follow a lot of those because they be having like I like all the fire quotes. I'm okay with being that hermit dude who looks up philosophical stuff. I'm okay with being that guy now. But I went to one of those pages and like it was. I think they probably posted it because like, you know, fucking July 4th is coming up, and a dude started quoting like George Washington. One mid quote.
Don't do that.
Like one, the quote itself super mid.
The person.
The advice super mid. But when I got to it, I couldn't even. It took me 3, maybe 4 times to listen to it over again, because when he said George Washington, inspirational quote person, and in my mind I was like, I couldn't. I swear, in my slave teeth, like I.
That's
could
exactly.
Not,
like
I just was like, yo, I can't. What are you talking about?
The dude that was giving speeches with slave teeth in his mouth.
Yeah.
That's the one that we lied and said his teeth were wooden, or all types of other. We tap danced around all types of truths to hide the reality of it, to make him a hero.
Some of it, like I just like that's the thing. Like when you think about like it's just like there's not a lot of like there's moments you can say the ends justify the means, but it's just like that's not one of them. Like that level of evil brutality, like y'all people, there's a book out there and I gotta find it. I don't want to read it, but I want other people to read it. I think I've read enough in my life. I think I can sit this one out. But like just people not understanding like the chaotic, like when you think about what hell might look like as far as tortures, like that's what slavery was. Like it's not just like a bunch of whips. It's not fucking whatever that British actress is, no diss to her, but it's not her walking around singing musicals and having visions from Jesus. Like they hit Harriet Tubman in the head with a fucking anvil. Like it was brain dead. Like no, I don't like any of this fucking we can dance and moonwalk our way into freedom. I don't care about none of that. I don't like none of that. I don't like none of that.
That's just talking about slavery though. We're not even talking about before that. Like they was smallpox.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for actively coming here and allowing us into your country, your land, and feeding us, teaching us not to die. And you know what we're gonna do? We are going to
give you syphilis.
Yeah, wipe you guys completely out on every level, yo. Like just this one thing, just like body, like physical death, but like to just erase whole spiritual practices and cultures. Genocide.
Erased, what is it? It's a wild percentage, and I don't know if I'm 100% correct, but you got rid of what 85%?
That's
crazy. of a people. 85%, not just like we got 85% of the Cherokees gone, but the black folks is still, no, 85% of all y'all. We got y'all out of here by death and disease.
And as much as we are getting into this psychological stuff, we talked about that a couple of episodes back about the name always escapes me, about generational traumas. Like that's an actual thing for a whole community of people to normalize that happening to them. We have teams that have human beings as a mascot. You can drive a Grand Cherokee. If you're just like living in some of these states, they're not just like state names they made up. Those were names that were created by indigenous people. And they're like, you can go to like, you know, you all throughout Arizona, it's like, you know, or even out here, you know, it's like Cherokee Way and Pum Pum Drive. Like what?
The Mojave Desert.
Wild.
But you also like stay on your reservation as well, because you have more rights on your reservation than you do outside of the reservation on land that you
crazy, yo.
But those are our forefathers, and that's the independence that we're celebrating.
Cold cock of forefathers straight in this shit, yo. Like you know them niggas. Like if you really are like the Bible, you know them niggas are in one of the like read Dante's Inferno. You pick a ring. They can fall into any one of those. Just the worst, just skin tear off, put it back on to tear it off again levels of hell. That shit's insane.
Those are our heroes, though.
I don't know. I don't even know, dog, like that.
Even like the popping of fireworks, right? So, like, where do we get fireworks and gunpowder from?
Stole that, like everything, yo, like everything, yo.
We celebrate by way of something that we kind of stole and leveraged from another
You
culture
definitely
of people.
you stole for them people and had them out there dying on railroads.
I'm about
Like
to say we didn't enslave them, but
that's
we had you
crazy.
guys working in camps to help build a railroad here in a country that you ain't even from.
Man got the audacity to be saying shit like reverse. I'll be up here all day. Y'all tear all this shit up. Like what? Like
But
it's
that's when I think of like not I don't want to say boycotting because it's not boycott. You don't really have to boycott it because it ain't nothing to boycott. It's not for us. It's like, do you feel like obligated for the kids to celebrate Yom Kippur? No, because that doesn't identify with us. So if that doesn't identify with me, I'm not boycotting it. That's just that doesn't identify with me. That's for y'all. And when my time comes up to celebrate me and mine, then I will take advantage of that. I don't understand the justification of nah, this we gonna keep the kids in this realm until they get old enough to no, what do you mean? You're contributing to an issue. How much money did our community alone spend on fireworks, ribs?
but like even at like a even at, outside of an economical level, like that is where we set ourselves up.
You got to reload that thing.
Oh,
I know that ain't the right time.
let me see.
Whoop.
Oh, we got oof.
Yeah, I know. I'll be knowing.
It's teamwork because
I got you.
that was
I got
shit.
you.
But on an economical level, like it's even sidestepping that. They don't not teach their side at two guns and life and liberty from like
pride and country.
Yeah, it ain't. It's like so. It's like it was a joke, and I'm gonna butcher it, but I'm also gonna try not to say it as offensively. But like that, fucking Patrice O'Neal said, and it was talking about it was during like the time during 9/11. It was like why we go over there and it's not the same. Like it's not go over there and kick the ass. Like motherfuckers is fighting for something outside of themselves. It's not just it's born and bred that you are God and country and like it was parallels to the same thing that maybe even like you went to Vietnam. Like they was fighting some whole different shit. But it's like in comparison to us and them, it's like you up here talking about phony holidays and trying to like keep the peace. It's like create a peace elsewhere, but you need to because that over there, Connor believes he is Kentucky bred American. Like there's no reason that at fucking like 7, it's like Power Rangers funny stuff. No, man, it is combat boots and American flag stuff and hunting rabbits and you doing TikTok dances. I ain't saying you need to do that, but I'm saying you need to be instilling, like really instilling, like take your time. If you don't know, then get your ass on the internet, read a book or two, and find out what it is to really instill. Like we are beyond these things. Everybody can be an armchair therapist and everything else from the shit they take on TikTok. Okay, well that black shit, go do some shit on that since you got all the research in the world. Like
we can make all the memes and laugh about things, but we don't take the time that Connor's dad is going to take to instill in him said culture. And they don't even really have a culture, but they'll make sure that they instill in them a culture. And we're not celebrating Independence Day. We're only 2 generations removed from them celebrating, having barbecues and picnics, and we was on the menu. And they had hundreds of people.
Yo!
They had hundreds of people posing around one of our ancestors hanging from this tree.
Some of them people still alive.
Some of them are still. That's why I said we only 2 generations.
Yep. And they was
that's your great grandpappy.
And they was at the big park things that y'all be having and shooting fireworks. And
they were in.
So happy to see you here. She was that little like 15-year-old girl in them pictures. That was like that was Connor. That was that was Mike from the local black shop up there on the tree.
Connor's granddad, the one that's teaching him about camo and boots and hunting. He's the same one that has that picture somewhere in one of his files tucked away in the box of him being oh yeah, this was July 4th, 1960, 1950.
I think there is like that underlying knowledge of like coming from like scarcity, and they just like scrap up like this is it, this is our culture, and they just like lean on that, and us would be like we was kings, and that's it. I'm like, okay man, but like it's more.
Teach how.
Yeah, there's more than that. There's more than just gold. Like it'd be like we was kids, that's why we rocked the gold, God. I'm like, cool, But you do know that they did mount up and get to it. Like the same critiques I give about that queen shit that y'all be saying, which is just the image of what this looks like, the superficial parts of it. There's a price to pay for having these crowns donned upon our heads, which is dope. Put the motherfucker on. I want mine. I'm actively out here trying to get mine together, but there's a price to pay for just saying, like, it ain't just, we even look at y'all favorite CEOs, y'all love saying Hove and Fifth and all that other shit. Like, they're all billionaires and all that shit. Look at LeBron. He didn't just become a billion. That's a price to pay, and a price to pay to consistently be in that space. Y'all just be saying shit.
But you
I'm
have to
mad
teach
black
that.
man today.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Because that has to be taught. We can claim the shit all we want to. Like, we can claim white supremacy and all these other things. We can claim reasons why we shouldn't celebrate the 4th. But if we're not teaching why, if we're not instilling those same behaviors in the younger generations, if we're not moving in the same ways that we're saying that we identify with, then it means absolutely nothing. So even like, I may not celebrate the farce, but I'll go to Duval Day.
Man,
I'll pull up on Duval Day because that's for him. I'm not celebrating this, but the fact that I can be here, this is for me in my city. I'm bringing everybody where normally there's all types of chaos and shooting and violence and all this other stuff. Everybody in the city knows for this one day, we come here to come together and celebrate, and I'm paying for this, and everybody just come have a good time. Like, repurpose it in that way. If you're going to do it, repurpose it in a way that's beneficial for us and teach us something, as opposed to just like, yeah, we kings, we queens, but how? Because I am, but how? And how are you maneuvering in a way that shows that you are?
Oh, it's like 90 seconds.
Go
I'm just gonna say this: we don't give Duval enough credit for what like he's doing. Because
Absolutely
like that
not.
ain't just an event to come and throw ass. Like what you just said about it's communing and creating the vibe. And I'm just saying, man, give Duval this credit.
Absolutely. I saw a clip of him like putting out fires. Like, no, we're not gonna fight today. Chill out.
Commercial. Creating vibe. And I'm just saying, man, give Duval this credit.
Absolutely. I saw a clip of him like putting out fires. Like, no, we're not gonna fight today. Chill out.
Hey, Jackie, what's wrong?
I'm over here running around trying to tell everybody about the podcast pit.
What's the podcast pit?
I'm glad you asked. The podcast pit is an event where you will find some of your favorite podcasts performing in front of a live audience.
Will there be food and drinks there?
Of course there will be. It's at Joxer Dailies in Culver City. They have a full bar and a full menu.
Hey, I may need to tell people about this as well.
Yes, come with me. Let's tell them. The podcast pit is coming. The podcast
pit is coming.
Emmanuel Jones, also known as Zach, the original Black Ranger. Hey, and make sure you're checking out TGN Radio. Hey.
Peace, family, brother Reezus. I'm here. You already know I'm checking in with TGN Radio, black owned. So you already know that's where I'm at. Tap in.
Sundays just got sweeter. The Hub Radio presents First Sundays Open Mic, hosted by Hub City Dre, DJ Gamma Ray, and the First Sundays Band. They're inviting all singers, rappers, comedians, and poets to show up and show out. Sign-ups begin at 6 p.m. Sundays Open Mic will take place every first Sunday of the month. It's just $10 before 8 p.m. and $20 after, so arrive early. The address is 1135 East Compton Boulevard. That's 1135 East Compton Boulevard in Compton, California. For more information, follow them on IG at First Sundays Open Mic. Hey there, business owners. Don't miss our limited time offer. Advertise on the Good News Radio as low as $2 per commercial slot. That's right. Promote your business up to 4 times a day, every day for a month on live radio. If you're interested, email us at contact@tgnradio.net. Once again, that's contact@tgnradio.net.
Hey, Shariq LeMay.
Hey, what up, Jay Pinkay?
You already know what it is. You pulling up with me on Thursdays?
Oh, you already know Thursdays is lit.
What we doing?
We live on Limelight Live on TGN Talk.
You already know 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern for our East Coast folks. And hey, Calvin, why don't you join us sometimes?
Oh, gee, if you think I'm ready.
All right, Kelvin.
What a clown.
We'll see you then.
Hey, my name is Jasmine Sweets, and I'm so excited to be bringing you The Sweet Spot on TGN Vibes, Good Vibes, and R&B. Playing the old school, new school, and in between. I'm coming to you this summer. Stay tuned.
Are you looking to buy a home? Are you looking to sell your home? If your answer is yes, call the Walker Group at 310-421-6464. With over 18 years experience, the Walker might need. Let us be of service to you as well. Once again, call the Walker Group at 310-421-6464 or visit our website at www.exprealty.com. Once again, that's www.
All right.
Ooh, sexy.
Trying
Slow.
trying to set the vibe. Try to come back peace, you know.
No, this is violence
Come
all
back.
day long.
Zen.
But yes, coming back a little bit more zen. You got the venting out of the way to kind of reshape this conversation, because the whole point of bringing all that up wasn't to just be disgruntled black man or to like let shit on white holidays and this, that, and the other, blah blah blah. It was more so like a topic that came to mind that I wanted to bring up today. Is like, when we celebrate the farce, it's because we only have one perspective. Like, we only have one piece of the puzzle that we're paying attention to, and we're saying that that's the full picture, right? So even as we discussed, like teaching our children in our communities, or teaching all generations the truth, whether they learn it in school or not, so that they know how to approach the entire picture, or to be able to see it in its entirety and respond to it accordingly, however they choose to respond to it as they go on their own independent journey. But that's on a countrywide scale as far as the farce is concerned. And other areas, how often do we only pay attention to like 10% of the entire picture, and we formulate our perspective based on that little piece of the experience? Like, how much do we, not even if we just stick with holidays, if we look at every single holiday, right,
All day.
every holiday that we celebrate, for the most part, we're celebrating it because of, say, 10% of a perspective. Thanksgiving Day is 10% of what actually happened. That's built in that. Christmas is 10% of what actually was going on during that time period, or the understanding of the religion in general. 4th of July, we just talked about that. Even for us, Juneteenth, like, we just barely start celebrating Juneteenth, and probably the last, well, as a large community, we just started celebrating Juneteenth in the last 10 years, popularly.
Yeah.
Certain areas celebrated it forever.
Oh yeah, no, and I would say, like, as popular as it is, I might even get that the last 5.
Yeah. So that's a recent occurrence for us. We're only celebrating it based on the understanding of what it represents. That's our Freedom Day. We still don't really understand the full picture, the full history of it all. So that's just holidays. But in general, in our own personal life, how often are we reacting in a certain way, maneuvering in a certain way, choosing our lives every day based on like 10% of a perspective, as opposed to looking at a full view?
Consistently. I mean, I know that I've done it. I've done it more because of the pod. I know I used to do it, like, word to Graham State University, but you had mad professors that make you, when you're just doing something as far as doing research. And I'm not saying you got to go to school to learn how to research, but the concept of researching something, of having to find both sides. I know, like, my personal initial journey in that was, my undergrad is political science. So political science, when you do some debates, you have to know both sides of an argument. Cool. Even if I'm arguing for shit that I don't agree with. But in that, I'm like, I agree with that piece, and that piece. There's 100% of this perspective that I really don't fuck with. But I do fuck with this 30, and I got to find a way to make this 100 make sense so I can beat this motherfucker in a debate, so I can pass this class, whatever. Fast forward to, like, even doing this, having those concepts, my own little stuff that I'm into, personal journey, you do the psych stuff, you understand everything in shades of gray. There are no real 100% black and whites unless you, I don't know, like, certain things. But in general, that mindset has grown. But I don't know how else to, like, instill that in people, that, like, you can't just speak or talk from, or understanding. You can't just speak or talk from your insecurities or your fears, because I feel like that's a lot of what we do in general. I don't like this shit because that might really poke at this, and this. Like, not even having an understanding of where you're coming from when you're saying a thing. You could have all the facts in the world on the thing, but I discredit you because what you said is coming from a bullshit space.
Right.
I can, you can apply that any and everywhere in a whole variety of ways. But the idea to understand the thing, like on the internet, for instance, like relationship topics are always the fucking bee's knees, but a lot of those jump on things and they go viral because this person reaffirms, like we talked about, this person reaffirms my bias. My bias is based in fear, in hurt, in this and that, and we use that mindset across the gamut. Like that's how you apply it to any and everything. I don't like motherfuckers that wear sandals. Posters came up and said sandal wearing motherfuckers actually are the ones that be beating puppies in the street. You have no factual basis on that except for the fact this person said it. But because you don't like motherfuckers that wear sandals, all sandal wearing ass niggas beat up puppies.
Right.
You to do anything to like, and because you didn't check yourself. I'm gonna always tell you how to check yourself.
But that's how narratives get created, right? People jumping onto something without doing any type of deep dive, any type of historical context, any type of factual based whatever. No, nothing. You just accept it for face value. And then you end up running with that and it becomes an issue. So say, for instance, the stereotype that a lot of people may have of black people. Random example. Like black people love fried chicken and watermelon. But if you go through every culture, just about every culture has a variation of fried chicken and likes fruits and like watermelon. It's a sweet fruit. So why did it become a negative thing for us? And then you do your deep dive and you realize, like, one, it's not just us that enjoys these things, but two, those were propagandas that were created because we were making money off of selling watermelons post-slavery. We were actually finding ways to sustain ourselves, and watermelon was one of those things. So to get the sales of watermelons to decrease, they started demonizing eating watermelon. Oh, that's for the niggas. The niggas eat watermelon. Here come the pick-me pictures and all this other stuff with the extra dark character with the big lips and all that, eating watermelon because that's what niggas do. Right. Only because somebody had an opinion that was biased. It was a confirmation bias for other people. And we ran with it and nobody looked at the reality of it. So generations later, we're still holding on to these stereotypes and narratives, or even trying to avoid fitting that stereotype or narrative only because we looked at that 10% and ignored the 90. That's just something from a cultural stereotypical standpoint. We're not even talking about people doing that in their own personal life on a daily basis, of ignoring the full picture for a small piece.
I think sometimes I think there is like sometimes it's a level of ignoring, but I think, and this is not like a diss, I think there is a level of people not even having an understanding of what they're doing. And then there comes in, fear and arrogance kicks in and you like working on autopilot at that point of just doing kind of dumb shit. But I've been, I saw a post and it sent me on one of my little,
deep dives on
YouTube because I like to hear lectures, and it was kind of also I'm trying to cut into this Power versus Force book, but I don't like how he talks on it, but I'm gonna get through it. But anyways, it sent me on this little thing that I've been listening and reading up and hearing people's different opinions on the concept of knowledge versus wisdom.
Okay.
And I think as a community, we're in the age of knowledge. There is nobody out here that necessarily shouldn't say that they don't have access to knowledge on a subject.
Right.
Because you can pull up doctorate dissertations on Google.
Yeah. The information age. You can just access to everything.
But the wisdom to be able to discern what's what and how it can be applied and how to use it in context is at a fucking all-time low.
Right.
Because like I just said, like the stats might, like you just said, like that niggas love, I like watermelon.
Absolutely.
I also like chicken.
Absolutely.
But having that knowledge and the wisdom to discern that I like good food as opposed to I'm some genetically predisposed baboon that loves these two is two completely different things.
Right.
And that concept has failed on us at literally pick an area, type of area. I guarantee you, knowledge on that area is through the roof. Wisdom's at an all-time low. Did you know that black men are more liable to whoop doo whoop doo whoop doo whoop? True. Did you do any context and any like research into separating why that information is like that? No. Go to hell. You Fox News, baby. Like,
even beyond that, when we talk about emotions, so at least for us from the mental health perspective, when we talk about emotions, you're only paying attention to this 10%, and it's formulating your perspective. It's creating your worldview. It's creating your responses. It's creating your personality. Some of us say for that same stereotype, I'm looking at myself with a negative energy. So I'm approaching myself with a negative worldview, which is going to make my mental health decrease because I was not able to or did not understand that I should dive deeper into understanding more than just this one piece of the perspective. So niggas like watermelon and chicken. I like watermelon and chicken, so I must be a stereotypical nigga. If I'm a stereotypical nigga, then that means that all these other stereotypes for black men must be true as well. So that means I can only be what these stereotypes tell me to be, because that's what a real nigga is. Again, all of this coming from 10%. So I'm shaping the view of myself, which is going to affect my mental health based on this 10% thing, as opposed to knowing, like you said earlier, no, we was kings and queens, which is why I said, how were we kings and queens? Why are you not teaching that part? Because when it comes to mental health, if you're not teaching why and understanding how and all this other stuff, your mental health is going to decline, because you're accepting narratives that are telling you the opposite every single day, but they're only based on somebody else's confirmation bias.
But yeah, well, to piggyback on that, like even to use chicken and watermelon, like there's the viewpoint of somebody going, I only like chicken and watermelon because I'm a nigga. I'm always a nigga. I'm always gonna be a nigga. I ain't never been nothing else but a nigga.
Right.
Fear, insecurity, poor self-image.
Yep.
Pick an adjective, put it on there. As opposed to, which you might go to therapy and learn, like, everybody likes chicken. Chicken's a very good source of protein. Everybody likes watermelon. Like you said, every culture has this because you have wisdom, the foresight, the insight, the discernment, the fucking vibe, whatever you want to put on it to look at it from another way. But you have to be able to, it's not just blind positivity, but you have to be able to, like, shit is shit. Right. You need to be able to turn that into a positive perspective. Shit's gonna always be shit, but if I take some shit and I clap it in my hands, it's a really fucked up day. If I take some shit and I put it on some soil, I might grow something. So it's like, you know, that is the other side of where it's like, I don't even know if it's like technically like quantifiable, like the way you can like IQ somebody, but the ability to go like, okay, man, like this is a thing, but how you look at it and how you view it and how you choose to use it is one thing. I love chicken watermelon. Watermelon also, you know, I'm really sorry. I still apologize for what that Omarion did. I don't think that's not what watermelons are for. But they do actually like have supportive things. Like everywhere I go, I get watermelon stuff put in for me, and for a said individual who is benefiting from that, puts watermelon in whatever she makes for me, because watermelon do shit for your stuff.
Absolutely.
It make that thing do what it's supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
I'm not a small man, but I'm also not a flabby man. I like protein. I eat a lot of chicken. So that's on you at a certain level to take some of these things and go, what the fuck is what that is? Why you say it like that? Because I don't really have to be like that. Like the negative shit is kind of on you. I'm a big I don't like that shit. I'm a big opponent of looking at shit like that. Simon Sinek had something like that where he was talking, he had like a like little lectures, and it was the concept of like, if you look at it's your perspective. If you look at the obstacle, that's all you're gonna see. They do that shit, I guess, with pilots. Mm-hmm. If you tell a pilot don't hit the thing, a motherfucker gonna crash straight through it.
Right.
If you tell a motherfucker get to the finish line, you'll avoid everything on the way, because that's the goal point, as opposed to focusing on niggas eat chicken, so do athletes, dummy.
So do porn stars, because apparently, like you said, because you have learned outside of your traditional scope, I know that eating watermelon is gonna help me when I'm trying to
I ain't even know that shit till this year. I just been eating it because my granny could it. I was like, man, I could have shit. Those times, think about the times that I've like spent in my life like, I don't like watermelon because I won't be seen eating that. I'm like, man, my dick gonna be great.
Because my granny told me it was delicious. I'm gonna eat it, and now I have all these other benefits that I could have missed out on because I missed a complete worldview. But even on say a serious note, it gives you the ability to challenge distortions. So say, for instance, I know I used the example of, every culture has fried chicken, but we get a certain negative stereotype for black people as eating fried chicken. Okay. Katsu, Japanese fried chicken. Koreans have a version of fried chicken that they profit off of in our communities that they actually learn from us, but
Orange chicken is fried. They just put the orange shit
It's a
on it.
whole, but you get to challenge that. Or fried chicken and watermelons for niggas. But if you from the South, everybody makes fried chicken. So wait a minute, said white person that could be a bigot and has this stereotype for us based on a confirmed bias that was passed down to them generationally. Your grandma made fried chicken that she got the recipe from her great grandma who was a slave. Like, she got this recipe from my people, but you serving it to your family as if it's your family's recipe. So does that make you a nigga too? Since I'm a nigga for liking fried chicken?
It would have to, because between all of y'all, all of a sudden are making hot chicken, which is fried chicken. It's hot. And
all these restaurants are owned by Armenians. In the Valley, they're all owned by Eastern Europeans. They know nothing about Nashville fried chicken, but they're profiting off of it.
And I don't care what city you're in. I don't care if you're in New York, you're in Kentucky, you're in fucking Oregon, California, Texas. If you go to a soul food restaurant, you know who's packing that bitch out? Not us. We in there. We in there eating, but you know who's in there? The same people that is up there fucking telling you that, like, that's a black people thing. So, ones that was all patriotic yesterday, they be up in there getting
an authentic black experience.
Yeah, they be getting there. They be getting Big Mama Shirley's fantastic Arkansas fried chicken. They be eating that shit every day
and loving it.
What?
More so than us.
Bathing in the grease, man.
Roscoe's here makes more money off of tourism people coming into town to eat it, as opposed to us as black people flocking to it and eating there on a regular basis. You can go to any Roscoe's in the city on a regular basis and see people doing this cultural appropriation. But that's how you challenge the distortion, because I can look at the culture, look at it and say, oh, that's cultural appropriation. This isn't a distortion. Or a reality, this is a distortion. This is cultural appropriation. Like, I can look, because I've been able to learn multiple perspectives, because I was able to push myself outside of this 10% worldview, I can see, like, oh, this is a fallacy. This isn't, I don't have to approach this way. And I've been approaching it in a way that's been eating away at my psyche for years. I've been thinking that I am less than because I accepted this. But now, because I've just taken one, you can just learn what cultural appropriation is. Dive into that. Learn the definition of it. I didn't even say you got to deep dive. Just learn the definition of it. Give one example. And now your worldview from that little 10% has changed, which will change how you feel about yourself, how you feel your culture. I'm using culture as a big experience for this. But again, we can do this in relationships. We have a distorted view of our relationships because we're only paying attention to one perspective of the entire experience.
All the time.
All the time. We see that on social media all day long in our culture, especially for black folks and black Twitter on social media. We get 10% experience shown to us through memes on a regular basis, and that we've talked about on the show, how that can affect the other part of the experience's perspective of themselves.
But yeah, this is because the crazy thing is, like, the same perspective from a variety of like, I mean, they're all technically, you know, media outlets. So it's not like you're like going to like relationship therapistdoctor.com and they're saying it. Those are actually saying the complete opposite.
Right.
But, you know, heaven forbid we go to the actual experts on this topic, whatever. But
how dare you seek actual advice from people that are qualified to do that? How dare you?
That's fucking nuts. But yeah, you just, like, you know, the loudest things in the room are always just all saying the same shit. And I'm like, you know, you got to treat social media sometimes like actual media. Like, you know, if some stuff happened, you know, good and well, sometimes the news is gonna spin it, and they are. The news is gonna you go to 5-6 news channels, they all say the same story.
Mm-hmm.
And you sitting at home going, hey, like, that's bullshit, because somehow the media on the internet, you know, they don't really give a shit sometimes. You'll find a resource like, this is what's really going on in said country. All that shit on TV is bullshit, because you know that shit on TV is filtered and said from this, that, and the third. The same to me sometimes applies for a lot of these other social things and interactions we do. Some of these like blog pages, I'm like, they're not here to like talk about it for real. They're here to say it for a certain way, because if everybody heal tomorrow, then we ain't got no fucking platform. Like,
we profit off of people's insecurities and biases. So why would we tell the truth?
Yeah, somehow we over here being dumb, trying to actually
That's a fact. They said this, and I believe it, and it is a thing. So I'm gonna stick with it. It's like you don't realize that was a targeted attack, and you took a targeted attack, turned it into an actual fact, and now you are attacking yourself with it.
I know how this is. That's I know it, and Ashley know it, and even Michelle, she over there been through it. Hey, y'all know all three of y'all been fucking with rat niggas for like the last 7. Like none of y'all have left like the area.
All of y'all are the same person.
Yeah.
You just look different and make slightly different decisions, but you're the same. You guys are the same values, the same mindset, the same interest, the same everything. So of course you're going to make the same choices.
Yeah, it's like Last Tech, Doctor, and motherfucking business owner, but y'all still the same nigga. Gang member, that nigga's a mechanic. That nigga can actually hoop. And you know what? He's a real business owner. He went to school. Still the same nigga. Like y'all niggas the same niggas. Shut up.
But that's who's shaping the narrative though. I'm telling people, say for instance, we said it here on a lot, but the stereotypical niggas ain't shit. But like, are you looking at the rest of the 90% of that experience for like, how did I contribute to this? How did I choose this person? How did I show up into these spaces? How did I respond to certain situations? How did I do this? How did I do that? That within itself is going to make up your 50.
I must really start doing like different perspective posts. If the world was ending, would you cry? I'ma cry. The world is ending. What kind of dumb, like all of it? I'm doing everything because that's a perspective shit for me. Every time I hear that song now, it's like I'm gonna cry, and then I'm gonna go find my mom because the world is ending. Why would you even make this song? I'm waiting for you to fucking Kershaw just opened up, like just fell up in there.
If this was a goddamn Doctor Strange and you got one-eyed octopus monsters crawling along buildings, tearing up shit, am I gonna come looking for you? No. We got monsters come here to test it out. Look, I want a rib for the last time.
Yeah, I'm finna cry.
I want to see. Let me see my mama. Let me see my nephews. Let me see the people that actually matter. Because this is about. I don't have a lot of time to deal with.
The sky opened up. Kidding me? Did y'all watch Stranger Things?
Some gray colored person came out of the sky and told us that we were all made from his semen.
Yeah, yo, Vecna pop up tomorrow. We finna go down here to Tulum to find her. Shut up.
Tulum, of all places, yep. Tulum.
Go down here,
But I mean, even like what made me think about this perspective is, so I'm reading Deus. I'll put it on the screen and let y'all see it so y'all can know what book I'm reading. But it was kind of saying how like throughout history we've always done that. We've always paid attention to one small piece of the perspective. If there's 4 pieces to it, we've only paid attention to half of one piece.
Gotta cut that hamburger into 4 pieces for your siblings.
Absolutely. Scarcity mindset. We ain't got another one, so I got to share it with everybody else, and we each gonna take a little piece. But just like how that has shaped our worldview and our existence, the ability to not pay attention to the entire perspective. Say, for instance, with I know it used an example of like the Bible. Like we look at the Bible as if it's like this actual factual book, and it's like, but people don't do the research and see like the Bible was created in different centuries. Yes, we know that it's a compilation of things from a certain perspective that are all based towards Christianity. It's like, no, but this came from this century. This came from 100 years later. This came from somebody over here. This came from somebody over here. And then a few hundred years later, then somebody put that together. But even their reasoning for putting it together was not for this reason over here. Like, and this is just somebody using statistical, historical data to show like, hey,
but you can't use none of that statistical data because that was made. That was data made by man, unlike this book that was made by a lot of men. You start questioning that, even from the jump. You know what was one of the worst things? Like, I don't need a lot for somebody. Like, if you have a good point and it makes sense, like I'm foldable. That's why when anybody like I'm argumentative, like I mean I am, but it's like I'm foldable when it makes sense. You just need to make good sense that what you said got holes in. When somebody said, when I was looking at something and they initially said, you understand the names of the chat, forget all the information, the literal names, these names didn't exist in the time period. where would you find a Luke in the middle of? And I was like, say that again. Where would you find a Paul? Because those weren't a thing. That shit, I was done after that day. That like upon other but that one tidbit of information fucked me up. Like, oh well,
what was I
preach
thinking?
on? Yeah, preach on, because you on to something. Because you've rocked my shit at just titles of the books,
Right? And that was just adding in an extra 2% to that 10. We didn't even get to the deep dive.
That might be 1.5 low key, because this other just crazy shit. Do y'all know who King James was?
A tyrant.
Come on, fam. A sexual deviant
who democratized the Bible.
A heretic. He was literally touching on like anything spiritual to just gather stuff up. Like all the shit y'all like, the devil boy, he was like, should we try this? Like, you was one bad day. It was one coin flip from everything out here being Harry Potter.
Right.
Like he was looking into all of it.
He's one person that did that, and he wasn't the first.
Nope.
That's the tricky part about it. Or even like them damning pagans, but like y'all started off as a cult. Y'all started off as a pagan type thing, and some of the rituals that you did are similar to the ones that you said are not. Like sacrificing and stuff, that wasn't a part of Christianity. We don't do that. And then you do your history and be like, oh, they really was doing this at certain point in time. It's just because of how evolution happened throughout time. People stopped doing certain things, but it wasn't for the sake of Christianity. It may have been like because we didn't have access to it.
It's just critical thinking. And someone's like, kill your son. Damn, nigga, you was really gonna do it? You wild. Like, for what? Come on, man.
But that 10% shaping your worldview because we refuse to look outside of one perspective, and it has shaped your entire experience. Now, I would want to know when we come back, or at least explore, why are we so uncomfortable looking past that 10%?
Identity. Commercial. I like saying that.
Now, I would want to know when we come back, or at least explore, why are we so uncomfortable looking past that 10%?
Oye, locos, this is Rennie with the Brown Skin Investors, helping communities of color learn more about financial literacy. Catch us every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on TGN Latinx.
Birthdays are meant for celebration. And when it comes to celebrating, Flour and Sugar never misses a beat. Offering custom cake designs to fit any special occasion, your cake will be the talk around town. From sushi cakes to perfume bottles, everything is always edible. With flavors like Oreo, banana pudding, and our top flavor, strawberry shortcake, I can't miss. Order your special cake today by email at flourandsugarla@gmail.com or visit our website at flourandsugar.store. Or if you want to see new designs, follow us on Instagram at _flour_and_sugar_.
What's up, friends? It's IE and Friends. We're here at the Podcast Pit LA. It was so fun. We came to rep the IE. I think we did a pretty good job. So shout out to the Podcast Pit for having us. Shout out to TGN. You guys should definitely. That's coming soon. So stay tuned. So follow us and follow TGN Podcast Pit. Have a good day, guys.
Hey, Jackie, what's wrong?
I'm over here running around trying to tell everybody about the Podcast Pit.
What's the Podcast Pit?
I'm glad you asked. The Podcast Pit is an event where you will find some of your favorite podcasts performing in front of a live audience.
Will there be food and drinks there?
Of course there will be. It's at Joxer Dailies in Culver City. They have a full bar and a full menu.
Hey, I may need to tell people about this as well.
Yes, come with me. Let's tell them.
The Podcast Pit is coming. The Podcast Pit is coming. Hey, Jackie, what's wrong?
I'm over here running around trying to tell everybody about the Podcast Pit.
What's the Podcast Pit?
I'm glad you asked. The Podcast Pit is an event where you will find some of your favorite podcasts performing in front of a live audience.
Will there be food and drinks there?
Of course there will be. It's at Joxer Dailies in Culver City. They have a full bar and a full menu.
Hey, I may need to tell people about this as well.
Yes, come with me. Let's tell them.
The Podcast Pit is coming. The Podcast Pit is coming.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Alex Himes from Courtside Radio. We'd love to have you tuning in every Monday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. right here on the Good News Radio Network. Don't forget to tune in every week, people. We'll see you then.
Are you happy with your life, money, career, or relationships? Most people are frustrated with how life is evolving around them. What if you could change one thing to turn your life into a different direction? Would you want the insight? How could you transform your life with intuitive awareness? Learn more. Get answers today. Book a free discovery session with Coach Zena. Intuitive
It's always the first sound that you have when the mics come back on. It's always something random.
Yep. Just gotta let them know, man. In my mind, I'd be thinking like, somebody might be sitting there like, maybe this is like a millennial thing. But you remember, like I saw a meme about today where you had to like run to the fridge, like because the commercial's breaking. It's like, they're coming back. And, like somebody's sitting there waiting for us to come back. It's like, yeah, you thought it was gonna be something powerful. Wake up, goddamn. Yeah. It's like, keep y'all on your toes.
It's everybody's indication. All right, you got 0.5 seconds to come on back.
Yeah, I'm trying to be nice. I don't want to come up hit y'all with like, and another thing. You just let leaves. Oh, he sniffed. They hear it.
Yep.
Come on, hurry up. Hurry up.
That is your introduction. That's your transition. That's your transition right there. You better recognize. Let's go to our comment section first before we dive into most stuff.
D in the house.
Hey D, congratulations.
Right?
Shout out to D. Finished one and already started the next one. She'll have more letters next to her name. We support you.
Oh, she's killing it. Wow. Yes, we focus on the parts of the problem, not the issue in its entirety, not the solution.
I won't even say that we don't pay attention to the solution. We don't pay attention to any of it in its entirety. So we don't even know about it being a problem or there being a solution. Like I used the example before, like if you're approaching it from an algebraic standpoint of like, I need to solve for X, but this is trigonometry. No matter what answer you get, it's going to be the wrong answer, no matter which solution or which theory, which problem, which whatever equation, no matter what you use, it's going to be wrong because you're not looking at the entire thing and saying like, oh, this is not that, this is this over here.
That makes sense.
So we don't even look past that first thing. We just see X and be like, okay, got to solve for X. It's like, you in the wrong textbook.
It's a little more.
It's way more than that.
A little more weight on that. That part. All of this was made by man, but people only focus on that when it comes to tearing down a formally educated person. Anybody really. Yeah.
I mean, it's tools of separation and destruction. Not to say that I don't know, I'm assuming she's referring to the religiosity. Not to say that all religion is a terrible thing. We've just used it in the name of terrible things. It has a point. Like we need religion as far as rules and structures, but they're chosen variations of how you want to see the world and how you want to approach it. But it's not even just to tear down an educated person. It's for us to tear down each other and like say, this person is this because of this, again, 10%, because I look at this religion, even though we got hundreds of them, I'm looking at this thing from this one perspective. Or even like say, when it comes to religion for our country, Roe versus Wade, that's because conservative white Christians decided to make a decision based on a Christian book that is governing a country that not everybody's Christian. And if you dive into it, that may not even really be what the book is talking about in the first place. So now you've affected the lives of millions of people because you only wanted to pay attention to 10% of a perspective as opposed to looking at the entire 100. Or even say for us, we can look at it in a different perspective. Like the only reason we got Roe versus Wade in the first place is because the white woman got upset about some shit and she wanted to change her circumstances. They didn't give a shit about the rest of us or anything like that beforehand. And they wanted to, the same country that was okay in performing sterilization on women in our country is now saying that, oh no, you can't get abortions. But when it happened to people in their community, then we're going to change the laws. And then you figure out, oh, they're using it more. We're using it more than them. So that means we need to backtrack some of this because this is actually going to affect us negatively. And that's not what we were counting on.
I mean, just another meme that pops up. I'm waiting for like, one of the many political bastard childs pops up and it's like, damn, what I'm gonna do about it? Nothing now, my boy. Because you live in Louisiana. So you and your miss just gonna have to just figure it out. Because you did that.
Getting the bag is gonna skyrocket to an all-time high. Which that's another perspective. Granted, I don't have to worry about that because me trusting myself, I don't deal with those types of people to where I'd have to worry about that. But
that's a nasty play. But yeah.
I don't have that worry because I know how I maneuver and I trust the people that I deal with when I deal with them.
Strudel.
But there's going to be a lot of people getting the bag because somebody made a decision that was a confirmation bias.
That's a whole other.
Or I can't even say a confirmation bias. It's manipulation.
Yeah, that's a whole other nasty type of bag about. It's not absolving. I don't know why that conversation always delves into like, man should have paid attention. Like, obviously, nobody's saying that's not a thing. That's you deflecting from my point of. That's a nasty move.
Absolutely.
Like both things can exist, and maybe I think I sometimes maybe have to use a different set of words because that's turned into weirdness sometimes in conversation. I'm like, yeah, just like you gotta discern like the two things that can coexist, and neither one of those is justifying a thing. But yeah, that's I don't know, man. Like all that shit across the board, like that just using religion as a way, because like if we're just simplifying it down to like all of these religions say be a good person, treat people nicely because that's what you do to people. It's not what you do to Christians, it's not what you do to Muslims, it's not what you do. That's what you do to people. You treat them kindly, you treat them nicely. Okay, cool. These are all like if the end goal is like, okay, like this is probably a weird parallel because it's not a really nice city, but city of LA, like the city itself is like like Neo and them was coming in, like that's the fucking machine city. That's city of lights. That's God. That's all that. You can get there any fucking way you want to. You can get a car. You can get a plane. You can get a boat to. You can take the 60. You can take the 10. You can take the streets. All of these religions are just conduits for you to get to the end goal, which is to be a fucking good person and high five God, even though you are God. But that's another one.
That's a whole other conversation. But you utilize that to manipulate other things, which is not. That is literally the antithesis of what the book is telling you to do. So I utilize these guidelines to be a decent human being, but me being a decent human being is telling a 10-year-old that got raped, already started her menstruals, and she's pregnant now, that she can't get an abortion. That it's God's will for her to keep this child.
I mean, this shit don't make no sense, bro. Because like y'all, we can use the logic like it's a life, and it was like, yeah, but like y'all be dropping bombs on niggas for not listening to you. Like
we want to change the prices of our oil. We want you to stop charging us so much for the amount of oil that we get from your country, or we're going to start bombing shit and come in here and fuck shit up.
I can shoot you 60 times. 60
out of 90.
60 bullets in you. Life's important, though.
Right.
Yeah,
2/3 of the bullets that we shot at you, that multiple people shot at you, are going to enter you and kill you.
That's graphic. But also, I'm going to kick it because it's really crazy thought that in 2022.
No, I mean that's a legitimate thing, because people, that's why I said it affects, looking at that 10% affects your mental health. Although that may be graphic, coat hanger abortions are going to increase. It creates desperation. People are going to do that out of desperation because they feel like their hands are tied and they don't have options.
I mean,
not looking at the full scope of things and not paying attention to this and paying attention to that, it affects people mentally and emotionally, and it's going to make them respond in unhealthy ways. So how do you deal with the result of that?
It's gonna be some shit, because like even in monetary woes, people, all of us who live out here, it's whooping ass. I'm not gonna hold you. It is not it's not tough. It's not a struggle. It is whooping ass. Heel kick to the head is what the price of life in California is. So the idea that just because some of these areas are like opened up, if I'm fucking just kind of making it making it work in, I don't know, man, Idaho. I'm not fucking getting out to California. I'm not gonna make it out here to I can't even get the price that it takes to get out here, let alone to go through with these procedures and the time it takes to lay down and heal and go to hell. Like y'all is the whole shit is wild.
It's doable. They can make that happen because they do the same thing for these BBLs. Can't they do the same thing for an abortion if they need to?
I gonna lie, that's weird. That's still wrong, but it's
Just
a different
saying.
conversation.
It is a
You
different
coming to me
conversation.
with $10,000 worth of ass and want any type of help me, nigga. Like that's I could man. I'm all like, yeah, you gonna really catch me with something natural, because like there's no way you can come to me with 20 grand, and I don't care how broke boy it is sound, 20 grand worth of ass and titties, and pay for what? I got shit to pay for. What are you talking about? You got it, big dog. Are you nuts? There's no way you paid for that, and we living in a one bedroom.
Not even that. It ain't even got to be a we, because looking at a different perspective, like you said, out here, and just like D is highlighting, hey, I'm in California. You're in whatever other city that's cheaper to live in than California. You paid for this, which is a crazy amount to pay for that, but you're coming to me that has a different living circumstance, that has a different cost, higher cost of living and things of this nature, and telling me you want me to pay for something. Like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
Let's see. Crazy comparison. I mean,
it's not really a comparison. Just kind of, I was.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. It wasn't a comparison. I was really playing devil's advocate, because that's what some people are going to say. When you look at a particular narrative for the Black community, you can say, oh, their women will pay all this money to go to a different country, to go to Miami or go to Florida or whatever, and they'll pay $20,000 for ass and titties. They can do the same thing when it comes to them flying to California for an abortion. Like I mentioned earlier with the force, I can see people in the other communities, and white communities, conservative communities, that are putting microaggressions online as fact. Somebody's going to draw that correlation based on a stereotype of us and demonize us for us. We don't need to legalize abortion. They can pay to go somewhere else and get it. Look at what they spend and waste their money on. They have it. They can handle it. They'll be able to take care of it. We don't need to have it in our country, but they can afford to go somewhere else and get it if it's really that serious for them. And it's like, but that's not the point.
Yeah. I mean, like the crazy swirl of opinions and like contradictions, a lot of this shit is, but like how do I say this? It doesn't like baffle me. It's more so like I'd be thinking of like just tangible ways to go against it, because clearly saying it to them is not it.
Right.
It's getting on Twitter and saying that like if the idea is like, preservation of life and life matters and pro-life and all that other shit y'all be saying, and that's why abortions are bad, but it's like y'all really be up about murdering unarmed people. Y'all be up about sending y'all own kids, like what's that phrase of like war is young men going to die for old men, whatever the fuck, like
for old men profit.
Yeah, like y'all just be shipping these motherfuckers out there in the prime of their life, don't know what the hell they doing. Like, I just signed up because I was trying to figure it out. That man should have been an engineer. He should have been an artist. He should have been.
No, he's going to be an engineer in the military, and we're going to send you over there to fight for our freedoms in another country that's not threatening our freedom. You're really going to put your life on the line for our gas prices.
That shit, like y'all are like that. To me, that shit is like, it's one thing to say it, but really keep that shit in mind and don't just get exasperated about it. Like, sit. You got to sit with that thought sometimes, not to make yourself the villain, but sit with that of being like, this is really somebody who I'm engaging with, who will literally like say this person could have been, and I don't mean like, I mean legit artists. I mean, this person could have put Van Gogh and Basquiat to fucking shame, but it's over there holding the 50 cal and, freezing to death or some shit for, corporate greed or whatever conspiracy shit we're on today. And it's like, finding ways to like really, really combat that though. Like we be yelling into the void, and I'm with it, but like at some point this has to be yelling, and then you got to have like a bat behind you to like bat away some shit. I don't know what that bat looks like, but
whatever that next step is, that's going beyond that 10% scope, and that's kind of the point that I wanted to make with this conversation.
Oh, hey, Gates in the house.
Shout out to Gates. We appreciate you.
I'm taking all reposts. I don't give a shit what was said. Post it all. Every bit.
Right. But like you said, we get up in arms about certain things, or they can get up in arms about certain things, but we're getting up in arms about a slither. We're not getting up in arms about the entire, like what there's some situations that we're missing. Like, see, I need to have a bat. That's me stepping outside of this. Or I'm just responding to something that I'm completely ill-informed on. Or I'm mad at this, but I'm not, kind of like with my example. We're not realizing somebody out there is going to have these negative perspectives, these countering perspectives. And those are the people that are making the decisions that we are allowing them to put on us.
Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, like, I think that, because I'm going to play with this because this is something that's,
go ahead.
Come on, everybody felt it. Everybody felt the BBL abortion. But like, play with that a little bit. Like, okay, two separate arguments I think that are having this, because I feel like this ties into the early conversations of like discerning, wisdom thing, pick a word, any word. It's like one side of the argument is like, no, at the end of the day, it should not have any weight on your ability to go get an abortion. That the Roe v. Wade thing is still trash.
Right.
And if you got all the if you just came from a BBL surgery and decide that this is, something you want to do, you should still have that access.
Right.
That 100%. But to your point of view about like somebody like having the idea that this person here is sort of fucking ape shit, and there should be something discussed about maybe the mindset. I'll ride that. Like I would ride that. I would still be thinking twice about like, look, I would never trample on nobody's right to do it. But I'm absolutely looking at you fucking crazy if you like just came, if you 2 months outside of a BBL this and like you don't have the money to get that procedure. It's like, that's the same thing as if dog come up to me and it's like, wow, man, that's a fire ass Hellcat and that shit, you got the scat pack and it's got all that. And he's like, yeah, the motherfucking rent though, bro. I just need you to be like, excuse me, nigga. You bought that when? You bought that last month. But you knew your rent has always been your rent. Go on. What's wrong with you? What?
But that's also you feeding into the stereotypes that other people place on you. So you're coming from an unhealthy extreme, but you're fitting into the unhealthy extreme of another group because you won't challenge and look outside of this worldview, pan out and see the entire picture. You're adopting this one little tiny part of the pie and saying that it is 100% factual because I had to go get that Hellcat because that's what a new nigga gonna do. I'm gonna spend my money on. I need that Hellcat. I can't be seen in the hood in a Prius.
Actual story. So as I'm still on this car journey, right? Went to the dealership, and no diss to this kid, cool kid, had all the pizzazz of a fucking car salesman. And he sat down, and it was just like, and he was like, yeah, I'm driving. He is driving, I think, new Charger and put all the bells and whistles on it, whatever.
Right.
When Buddy broke out, he broke out the numbers of his shit and the note he's paying, and he just said he had a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It took everything for me and my uncle not to go, are you on drugs, my boy? Like, you just said you had a baby. This car note is nuts, my boy. You have to be here from the time this dealership opens to the time it closes and sell everything. And he was like, yeah, sometimes you just got to do what you do to get what you want. I was like, saying all that to just say, like, perspectives and understanding is needed, because he had all the knowledge, all the numbers on cars. He knew it back and forth and was really selling me. And I just, in that moment, I was like, you are unwise. And it is just,
he knew 10% of what he really needed to know because he does not know himself. That's the nutty part. That's kind of driving home the point of what I'm trying to say. I'm really knowledgeable in this one thing, but I don't realize how being knowledgeable in this one thing is hindering me in all the other areas because I don't know how to look at the entire perspective. Go ahead, grab it. There it is.
They just spent their money on elective surgery. Abortion is not something that is planned. I'll say definitely that no, abortion is not planned, but I'm saying depending on I would give the same, and this is not a hit them back type thing, but kind of the same, a little bit of the same energy that I might give dog. It's like, if we're making, and you should still be able to get said abortion, But if you go choose to spend your money on certain items that you're making choices, like dog got to go get that car back because you made the choice, like to go have the sex that produced the child. Same with her. Unless you have the money to do what you need to do, or make better choices.
I was
like one's a choice. One is a choice thing about what you did with your body, but the other one is have access, but also some of them is choices. Like baby didn't just walk up in the pussy and said, "Move, bitch, move these motherfucking organs out the way. I'm in the womb." Like there were choices that got there.
I would look at it. I mean, at least how I presented it. Yes, the BBL is a choice. It's planned. It's what they wanted to do. No, needing an abortion is not. But the people that are in control of your ability to make that choice are the people that would use a countering argument and be like, hey, you did this, so you should be able to do that. I need the opportunity. If I need an abortion, I need the right to be able to go and get it. Cool. I should have the right to be able to go and get it. Cool. But somebody else who's looking at it from this perspective says, I have the power to change that. And I don't think you should have that choice. So now I need to make this choice, but I can't because somebody else has a different perspective that is based in a unhealthy worldview.
Yes. There are other comments in here, and I'm going to get to those.
Go ahead, get to them because go ahead. Knock it out.
God damn it. This is the one that fucked me up. I am going to have an abortion on the steps of the Supreme Court. I want all good things to come to light because you just need a little bit of chaos. That's an assumption that they are having unprotected sex. That is my assumption that they are having unprotected sex. I'm not even trying to be a smartass. I 100% am assuming that. So like how the baby got there. Like if it was one of these like mistake oopsie kids, like obviously that's a different scenario. But everybody ain't that. It's a lot of people that are just shit, I'm raw dog, and it's like that's happening. There's a lot of people that are just like y'all are in these said scenarios. Y'all are going to do a lot of the surface level things. You might got two are already out here. You might be dealing with said individual, dog got kids, whoever. And those were choices made. Those were consistent sexual acts that were made. That's a different set. Again, still should have the right, but also. I also am gonna look at you a little sideways because you've been making bad choices. Now, if you're just somebody out here and it just fucking happened, that's a different set of things. That's where we kind of, it's all that shades of great conversation shit. But yeah,
it's varying degrees to the conversation that's being had.
Well, that would, I guess, lead to this. I think there's also room to discuss being more intentional with your sexual partners, like DC said earlier. I mean,
not even just being intentional with that, but just being able to understand all the different perspectives. That's my main thing for this topic is there's more perspectives that you need to explore than just the one that you're comfortable with identifying in your own personal life. Just like I made the comment about the BBL thing. That's not from my perspective. That's not how I feel about the situation entirely. I made that just from understanding how a conservative white Southern person in politics is going to approach it. They're making the rules that we govern our lives by because we allow them to, but they don't identify for me and my culture and my people. Just like said person that's going to get the BBL or said dude that's spending the money that he doesn't have on a car, even though he has mouths to feed. I don't identify with him either. I can identify with him culturally, but mentally, I do not identify with your choices or how you're maneuvering. We're all coexisting, though. We're all paying attention to one complete experience from one. I'm paying attention to my 10%. You're paying attention to your 10%. You're paying attention to your 10%. That's still only 30% of the entire perspective that we need to approach differently. If we don't even understand somebody else's 10%, we're already at a loss. So you have to be able to look at this in a number of different ways. That's my big takeaway. Like stop looking at something one-dimensionally and be able to explore all the aspects of it so you can make better decisions for yourself. So you can have a healthier mindset towards yourself, towards the things that you are doing.
Money shots, man. You got to spread the room. I'd love to talk about this because there's a tendency to paint a picture of the type of women who seek abortions. I'm with that. I mean, I say there is like the facade or the image that there's a certain type of, but it's not, again, like how I'm taking the example is of said maybe type of woman. Like it's not every woman, but said type. Just like the example of there's a type of dude. There are every person that engages in these in abortions are not a terrible type of person, anything like that. But the idea of these types of individuals making certain choices of making better choices,
right?
Like as it was stated, like still down to talk about it. As it was stated, like you definitely should be able to have access, regardless of the type, non-type, whatever happens.
You
like,
should have the freedom to choose regardless.
But the idea of like
we can't absolve
those types of people exist,
right? We can't absolve people of accountability. I want you to have the right to make your own decisions, but looking at the entire picture, we still have to look at your ability to make choices as well. Hey, you should have the right to do this, but use it because it's necessary, not because you're being irresponsible. I don't want to take the right away from you, but we still have to look at the entire worldview. I can't condone you here and ignore everything else. I need to hold you accountable as well. Hey, you're making bad decisions. You need this. Go get this because you need this now, but you need it because you're making bad decisions. Hey, let's look at this. And that's just for 1%. We're not talking about everybody. To be honest, to be transparent, I'm here because of abortions. If my mom didn't have the ability to get one, I would not be here, or I would not be the person that is sitting here having this conversation. So I understand the importance of it, but she also was honest with me. Like, hey, I had to do this at this point in time because this is what was going on. This is the things that was this, that, and the other, blah. She was honest with it. She took accountability for it. I had to do this because of this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. And then I ended up this and this, that, and the other. I've had this conversation with her. I'm glad that she had the right and the opportunity to do so, but she was able to still hold herself accountable. And she's just not even the worst example. Like, we're using super extreme examples with dude that can't buy his car and he got kids,
but that type of man, I guess, would match with said type of woman. And those are the people that in this specific scenario we're talking to, like the same heat that I feel like I might seem like I'm giving to that type of woman, I'm giving to dog, because that's the same type of, hey, you know, she not trying to get the abortion. Yeah, I know that. I know you made that choice. I know you've made a lot of terrible choices. So tough break, nigga. Like, if that doesn't happen for you, then like that's not necessarily the dude that I'm like, she trapped you. Know, you made a bad choice, and you need to live with your bad choice, whatever way this goes.
I wouldn't even say bad choice. You just need to be accountable for your choice, period. You should have the right to choose. That's a separate conversation when it comes to abortions. You should have the right to choose. The other extra 10% that we need to factor in is you need to be accountable to your choice, whatever that choice is.
Oh shit, 16 seconds. I don't have a lot of goodbyes. Just because it should be available doesn't mean it should be used birth control. Word to Gates. And I don't know, man. See y'all on Tuesday. That's my house. You got anything else?
No. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. But no, we'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the remainder of your week.
If y'all listen, oh wait, I take that back. If y'all on YouTube, if you're listening on the fucking thing, thank you, but you can't hear no more. But yeah, come on, or tell us to come to the yard. I don't care. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we can
sexual frequency.
Absolutely.
Listen to Gates.
Do Black History Makers. But even with that, those are two different 10% perspectives. They shape up an entire worldview. He has a perspective. Lotus shared a perspective. Gates shared a perspective. I shared a perspective. Even if we put all those together and we fully understand each other's perspective and put that into the entire scenario, that's still just 40% of the understanding that we need for the entire thing. That's why it's important to step outside of your perspective. It applies in everything. We were talking about culture earlier, but even as it pertains to race and things of that nature, the ability to step outside of your one-dimensional understanding applies to everything on earth because it affects you all emotionally. It affects you mentally. So,
y'all see him, I'm not talking, but y'all in here. Thank you.
Yeah. But yes, we can go all day about this topic. I know for sure I can because I always see a ton of different perspectives that other people don't see. But
oh shit, I'm gonna say this. Yeah, come through. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, no.
Why?
Miss you too. Love you. You're always welcome. Actually, she's supposed to come at some point anyway. But
oh, well then yeah. I don't know. We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Love you.